So what can you tell us about Margo going into season 4? Should I say Janet?
Right.
Who are we getting?
Well, I think season 4, I'm sure you've heard from the whole, probably multiple times. It picked up where it left off for most of us. And Alice is the only one who does not, who does have memories. For me, it was about differentiating Janet from Margo in ways that I could be accountable for, because she is still who she is at her core, but she lacks the knowledge of magic, and therefore the evolution she's had within the reality that magic is real. So without that, who is she? She's still very similar to Margo, but perhaps quite, not as fearless, maybe, in physically threatening situations. So small tweaks here and there that are basically who she still is inside, but without very key and important memories.
Does she still have her sass?
She definitely has her
good.
sass.
Good.
I could not get rid
well.
of the sass, and the writers wrote ample sass.
Okay,
Yes. Because we are still who we are, but without the knowledge that we're magicians. So our entire identities weren't created and born of knowing magic is real, because we assume we've had childhoods and adolescence without, doing magic or knowing that it's out there until we go to break those. So a lot of us are still in it. That was my choice as an actor and my opinion on it, but I'm sure everybody approached it differently. Yeah. She definitely does, yeah. As long as I'm in heels, I think that'll happen, because it's just what you do in heels. I know a lot of times our camera department, they're amazing. I love them. And they're like, well, we can put you on an Apple box for this one. You've been in heels for like 12 hours. And I'm like, but it's so much the character. It really does inform my body language and how I carry myself. And she's so confident and can't really fake that confidence. So a lot of times I'll just leave my shoes on just because.
So your name appeared on Gold Derby, like Emmy nomination consideration.
Oh my God! Whoa!
I was just wondering what you felt about that.
I didn't even know. I mean, obviously, like, tremendously flattered. For me, what I love about our show is that even though we are a genre show and we are a fantasy show, there is still room to explore the depth and well of our characters and their emotions and the way they respond to the world. And something like that's amazingly flattering. But also, I think, as far as genre shows go, a lot of times they're not up for the big award shows, or they're not given as much of that credibility per se. But exactly, and her performance in that was tremendous. I mean, women in sci-fi have been doing tremendous work for many, 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 many years, and it's been quite a diverse landscape. That part of television, I think, has always been a little more diverse than your major network procedurals. I'm talking like back in the day. So I think it's been an interesting place to be working as a woman for a long time, and has a lot of credibility. So seeing anything like that about any really good genre show is encouraging for the genre itself. So yeah.
How much of that do you credit the writing on?
Yeah. I mean, I credit like so much of the fans' response and stuff. It's the writing. It's so much of the humor is inherent. I would never be able to be that quippy or witty, and I think that they've done a bang-up job for Margo and continue to for Janet. I'm always floored and surprised by what they think of for me to do, and I'm never bored. And it's been 4 years. So, yeah, the writers are a huge part of, why it's so enjoyable to play her. Yeah.
Margo continually does selfless things, good things, in spite of herself.
Yes, yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about her journey to accepting herself as a good person when she doesn't want to have that identity, it seems?
Yeah, I think, more than not wanting to have the identity, I think for whatever reason, she doesn't believe she deserves that identity. And I think struggling with, contending with yourself, I think, is a lifelong battle. And that is one of the things she is reckoning with herself. And I think it'll continue. And even without magic, and even as Janet, I think that struggle is still there because it is at her core. And it's what motivates a lot of her rage and her anger. And that conflict is always what kind of centers me and grounds me back into my role, because it was a huge part of who Janet was in the books, was her rage and her anger and how it was directed, and how she used anger as a tool, basically. Yeah, I don't know if that answered. I think, Elliot is now the monster. So, if we're picking up where we left off, Elliot is gone. So, it's safe to assume that Janet is not struggling with the absence of a dear companion. So, I just don't have the knowledge of Elliot or that love, and I think it's such a bond that I play with the idea sometimes, even as Janet, of whether or not she's kind of longing for something that she doesn't even know she's longing for. Like, I wonder if she feels that absence even without the memories. And so it's interesting to explore that.
Are you going to miss wearing an eye patch, or are you happy that you got both eyes back?
I'm happy I got both eyes back.
They looked great.
They did look great, and it really stretched me and forced me out of my comfort zone. But it's nice to have two packs.
Were anything feels for you said 12-hour stretches with the eye patch? How difficult was that?
I'm sure depth perception and resting.
It was not all that easy, to be honest. It wasn't. Yeah. It was dangerous. I'm surprised I didn't fall or twist an ankle or like something happened. But they take such good care of us and our safety that it wasn't like,
And Margo got to wear absolutely fabulous costumes.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Yes. Our costume designers, she's a genius. There's just no other word for it. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I think that what the relationship that Margo had with the Fairy Queen, I think ultimately in its full arc at the end, satisfied a sort of longing that I don't even think she knew she had, to meet someone as ambitious and in a position of power that could teach her things. I think she's probably wanted that and probably wanted nothing more than that. Unfortunately, the Fairy Queen couldn't reveal who she was and be that for her. But I do think in the end, when it's revealed and she's given back the eye, I think it probably did satisfy a longing to see an example of a strong ruler. Awesome. I think that's all the questions.
A mentor to her?
Yeah.
Was it maybe like a...
I'm not sure. With Margo, I've thought a lot about the parent relationship, and in the books it does touch on it quite in depth. So I don't know how much maternal transference there was, if at all. I think she just wanted to see a force, an example of a force of nature. She was thrust into this royal thing, and she wants to be responsible, but had no tools for being responsible or success and what that looked like. And I think it was an example of what that could be and what kind of ruler you could be to your people. Yeah.
But she was still kind of a leader among her friends. So
Yeah.
She just sort of flailing about with the power she had before she was queen.
I think she was probably bored, you know. I think a lot of her was probably bored because I think with her, there is this interest, obviously, an infatuation and a love and a commitment to magic and the craft of magic and being a magician, for sure, inherently. But I think there was also political and social ambition that she wasn't even aware of herself, as a lot of young women aren't aware of those ambitions at the age she was at Breakbills. So I think she's both a politician and a magician, and possibly a politician before a magician, I think, with Margo, interestingly enough. Yeah.